Hello and welcome to today's video. I'm very excited to share with you this outreach system that I've built. Actually use it for myself, for my company. And every time I run it, it's scraping follow using AP5 for 1,000 leads. And not just any lead, very specific profile that I want, my ICP. And apart from the technical details such as, okay, account for duplicates and stuff like that, this system proceeds to enrich and create personalized openers or icebreakers for both a LinkedIn outreach campaign using PhantomBuster, but also email marketing cold email campaign using Instantly. Let me walk you through real quick the big solution, and then we will proceed to build it together step by step in another workflow. But just so you know what we're talking about. So it starts with a webhook when we receive what kind of ICP we want to look for. Then in plain text, but it's a form. In plain text, you're gonna write down what kind of lead you want. And then AI is gonna transform that plain text into a valid URL that we can scrape Apollo with. Again, I'm gonna build it everything in detail with you. And this will output 1,000 leads. Then we proceed to update our CRM. I'm not gonna get to these details. Finally, we split the solution into two. One to account for the email marketing or the cold email campaign, another one for PhantomBuster for us to reach out via LinkedIn. And let's start with the email one. So we are looping it in a batch size of 40, just so we don't get any errors with any of the APIs. We are using an email verifier also by Instantly to make sure that we are only sending emails to valid addresses. And eventually we use Perplexity to research about that company and that lead. And then I used to have two Anthropic or Claude AI nodes here, but I just reduced it to one. It's working just fine with one. And that's where we craft our email campaign. Both the icebreaker, I divide the icebreaker into 4. I'm gonna show you why. It's about formatting instantly. I find that if you just divide the icebreaker into 4 in this, it just has no errors related to formatting. Something that I experienced myself in the past. Also 2 follow-ups. From there, we again update our CRM and we finally send those leads to Instantly for a campaign. Very same thing we do here with the LinkedIn. Whenever we have the LinkedIn URL available, we're gonna use more, let's say, simpler. We're just gonna use, again, Anthropic, Claude to craft an icebreaker for LinkedIn, but this one is a very reduced one because of LinkedIn limitations. It's not an email campaign, so it's a quick one here and it generates for us this icebreaker. And we finally update the CRM, update the Google Sheet, because in this case we need a Google Sheet address for the PhantomBuster to be updated. So we can't connect our Airtable to PhantomBuster. I can show you actually PhantomBuster right here. So right now, let's see the report. 11 hours saved with this PhantomBuster solution. Again, this is just half of the solution. More 4,500 profiles collected, 443 invites sent. That's because we don't want to send a lot of invites per day, so LinkedIn won't flag us. So I'm limiting it to 20. I actually started with 5, I guess, and slowly made my way up to 20. Again, we don't want to get flagged by LinkedIn in any way. We are playing the long run game here. And 62 requests have been accepted. Actually, we don't have, of course, this stat here because that's personal, but I've had 4 conversations started from this 62 requests accepted so far that went above the hi, thank you for accepting me. So I find it to be really good. And of course, everything here is automatic and it's good in so many ways. One being when you reach out to a lead in multiple channels, it's increasing your chance to get a response, a positive response, apart from the follow-ups that we are doing. So instantly you can create as many follow-ups as you want for the email campaign. In this case, I'm doing just the first email and 2 follow-ups. And the same thing for the LinkedIn. So actually on PhantomBuster, I'm sending 2 follow-ups after my connection request is accepted. Okay, I've talked a lot. Let's start building it. We want to start workflow with using AP5 to scrape data from Apollo. And if you don't know Apollo, you probably do know Apollo, but let's just say you want to go to people, and here you can make a lot of filters to aim for the very specific ICP or to a very specific desired customer. Among those filters, I just did here, location, United States, this amount of employees for law firms. And as you can see, you can make other filters. If you are on a paid plan, you can make even more filters, such as job titles, for instance. So we can include owners, founders, and C-suite, all the way to VP, head, and director. That's good. So just for information, it's about 42,000 people. And with that, we have Apollo URL that we can use both to script it on API, but also we can include an AI step that is going to modify that URL based on your input. So by the way, that's what I'm doing here on my own solution. So if you see, we get a webhook from a form, and here we have a prompt that is teaching the AI about the Apollo URL. The output of it is a valid Apollo URL based on the input it was made, and it generates this valid Apollo URL that we use to scrape API. So that's what we're going to build right now. So let's start with a form. Let's see. What are the fields that we want to be dynamic, meaning the fields that the AI can change based on our input to generate a valid URL. So we definitely can talk about location. It's a required field. We can definitely talk about, let's say, staff number, required field. We can definitely talk about, let's say, keywords. That's where you put, for instance, law firm or law practice, management level, and annual revenue. All of those fields are generated in an Apollo URL, just like the one we saw before. And the AI is going to be able to deal with that. And I'm going to show you the prompt in a minute. Okay, so let's add an OpenAI module, message module, Pro Mini. And for the prompt, I'm gonna use the same prompts that I have here. I tell him that what he can expect. So he's a helpful sales and marketing assistant. And this is the kind of URL we expect to receive as an output. And here are the fields that he can change based on what we put to the model. So the management level, the target location, target company, meaning the keywords, right? Number of employees and revenue. So, and also I give here another example. And of course, we ask for the output to be a JSON with named Apollo URL. That's it for now. And we need to, this is a system prompt. Let's add the user, and this will be the result of the previous step. So let's test it. So let's say United States, let's say 100, minimum 100 keywords, law firm, management level, founder, VP, head, partner, annual revenue. So let's say 10 million. And let's submit this form just for us to test. And now we can populate the user input, meaning location will be this, staff number, range should be this, keywords, that's it, level, that's it, annual revenue, that's it. Of course, for your production, you would add more fields as you will need them. And for instance, you can add the name and etc. So now let's test if the AI is being able to generate a valid URL based on our prompt and our input. Okay, so it generated this Apollo URL. Let's test it to see if it works. Yeah, it's a valid one. So you have founder, VP, head, partner, United States, 100 plus employees, keywords, law firm. And you have just over 60,000 people here. That's good. With that, this is going to be a crucial input for us to use API, the HTTP request, because we don't have the API built-in node here on n8n, but we can make an HTTP request. And if you are beginning, you probably get frightened or scared of HTTP requests because it's always very intuitive. Sometimes I get as well, but if we import the curl, it gets really easy. And I'm going to show you where you can find it on API, right? So if you go to API, that's where API store, you have a lot of actors to scrape the internet. And I'm not going to get into all of them because for this video, you're going to use Apollo, as I mentioned before. So this is the one that I use. I think a lot of people use that as well. I'm sure of it. And let's look for how can we use it in production, or meaning not, we don't want to come here every time and do it manually, right? So how do we do that? By the way, you can see that it ran 53 times for me already because I was either selling this solution to someone, doing it for myself, or testing. So if you go to API endpoints here, you can see that this is the endpoint that we want. So we want to run the actor and get the database items that it's going to output. So how do we use this endpoint in our n8n workflow? So when you click here on view API reference for this guy, for this endpoint, you're gonna be able to see the curl. With the curl, you can copy and paste it here, and this should populate the HTTP request for you. As you can see, when you see here actor ID, you're gonna definitely gonna have to replace it with the ID of the actor that you're going to run. You're also gonna have to replace your authorization token with yours. But apart from that, you're good to go. So now let's go back to API and get those information. So for the actor ID, it's quite simple. You just have to go to the Apollo Scraper homepage. That's where we were before we click on the API. And you can see here on the URL after the slash, this is the ID you want to use. So go back here and replace actor ID with that word. And for the authorization token, that's your API key. You never want to reveal that to anyone ever, and you can find it here. So when you click in API, instead of going for the endpoints that where we did before, you're gonna want to click on API clients and manage tokens. That's gonna lead you to this page, and you can create your own token. With that, you just paste it here and you're good to go. Okay, now of course you do need to send a body, and in this case we're using JSON format, and it should be like this. So the amount of records, I'm using 1,000 because I'm in the paid plan of AP5. If I'm mistaken, if you're using the free plan, oh, by the way, I'm gonna show you in a bit the prices of every tool that we use for this solution and the free alternatives. So the total records, I'm using 1,000 because I'm on the paid plan. And if you are using the free plan, I think it's 100. For the URL, you need to do this. You need to grab the output from the AI module node, and now we are ready to test. So we have our actor ID here. I'm not gonna show my API key, but we also have as well the body. So let's test it. Apologies, there was an error on my token. So I just tested and it's working now. So I just pinged the form submission that we did, same thing that we did before, and the OpenAI, of course, it was already working, it worked, and the AP5 that was not working, it did work. So as you can see here, we have 1,000 leads and a lot of information for those leads. What comes next is, I always recommend for every important step you take into your workflow for you to update your CRM. In this case, for keeping it simple and not making this video even longer, I'm gonna do it with Google Sheets. But as you saw on my own solution, I'm using mostly Airtable. I'm pretty sure you have your own CRM of choice by now. You're welcome to use any of those. What we should do now is create a Google Sheet with the fields that we want. And for you to know what fields do you get when you have this AP5 running, you can check it here, or you can go to your own AP5 runs, go to your last run, and you can get the output here, and you can export that to a CSV here. And when you do so, you will be able to tell which fields are available, and with that information, you can populate your own sheet here. So let me do that, and so let's download the CSV here and see what we get. What we want to do now is go to File, that's just Portuguese for File, and Import, and then you're gonna go for your CSV. Uploading the CSV we just got from AP5. So here we have all the fields that were generated in that CSV. We can delete most of it. So I'm just gonna clean it just to keep the information that we want for this example, and I'm gonna be right back. But just so you know, for instance, these two departments I'm going to exclude. And if you see here, we have employment history and a lot of information about employment history. And this number here accounts for how far back you're going. So in this case, 0 means the actual job, and it goes all the way to, well, let's see. See, there's 16 or more. So I'm going to exclude most of this information. So we have a Google Sheet that is much lighter, and we work with that. All right. So now that our spreadsheet or our Google Sheet is clean, let's continue with the workflow. So what we want to do now is update our Google Sheet, right? So we look for sheet here, and we want to append a new row, and let's go with the URL. So we put the URL here and our sheet. So now we need to map each one of those columns. So by map, what I mean is, you do this for every one of those fields, at least the ones that you want to use, and that'll be ready to be updated. Okay, I just finished mapping here, and now I just added this limit. So whenever we test something, it won't test for 1,000 items, rather just for 1 item. That's because I set the limit to 1. We can get rid of this after we test everything, but for now, let's keep it here. The next step would be, one of the great things about our solution is it accounts for both LinkedIn outreach and instantly outreach, and meaning LinkedIn connection requests and follow-ups and cold email. So now let's split this into 2 branches, and for that we are going to use this mode here. We're gonna send data to all matching outputs and not just the first one. That is because we want, in the case of a lead row in our Google Sheet, to have both the LinkedIn URL available and the email available. We want this guy to go to both paths. That way we get in contact with them in 2 ways, increasing the chances of a reply. So first things first, let's look for email here. What is the email? If this guy is not empty, then this is gonna be the email output path. And the LinkedIn URL, hello Christy, is not empty. We're gonna call it LinkedIn. Okay, and we can test that. In this case, the same guy should go, which is Christy in this case, sorry. It should go both paths, right? And that's what's happening here. You can see 2 lines. Is it green? Sorry, I'm colorblind. Okay, so let's start with the LinkedIn path first. One thing that I wanted to mention is that I've added to the spreadsheet 2 columns by the very end. And this column is where we're going to input a 1 after the very end of each one of our paths, after we send the data to PhantomBuster, which is going to account for the LinkedIn outreach, and the instantly, which will account for the cold emailing. For now, it's 0 because we haven't sent anything. So what we want to do is we want to grab this LinkedIn path and start with a filter. So what we want is, let's get down here. Actually, we want to add another Google Sheet module here to get rows in the sheet. So let's get the URL, very same sheet. And so we want to filter send to PhantomBuster with this value here and send email with this value here, which is nothing, right? And we want actually or, because if just one of them is valid, we want that guy to keep in the flow, the path. So when we do that, let's see, let's test this. We should get everybody that's there, which is 5 items, it's okay. Because I've ran some tests here. Okay, now we're going for the switch. And after the switch, okay, so now the filter will account for, let's say, since we are in the very specific path of the PhantomBuster or the LinkedIn, it's not equal to 1. So that's what we need in our case. We're gonna actually, it's supposed to be a number, but who knows? So it's always good to have redundancy. So let's go with the number. It's not equal to, now it's raining cats and dogs here. And let's test it. In this case, I believe it should return all the same 5 because we haven't sent anything to PhantomBuster yet. And just like that, we have 5 items here. So now what we want to do is we want to create AI node. So we want a basic LLM completion, and the user message is going to be something like this. Let's say LinkedIn info. And here we're going to put everything that we want to parse. User prompt, meaning the information we want to provide the LLM or the AI module. That is not the system prompts. Here we're not going to be telling him what to do. That's step later. Right now, just pass the relevant information. So what is that information? So let's go with, then we can organize this. So let's go with name is first name, space, last name, works as title. At, let's look for the company name, organization name. And now let's go with city, state, no, actually it's this one. Is there any other information that we want to provide? Those are the information that we want to pass about his LinkedIn profile. His name, where he works at, his position, his title, and his location. Okay. Also, we want to give the system prompt something like this. You can actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave like a Google Doc file with those prompts. So you can copy those prompts if you want, but requesting a specific output formatting here. And also I'm saying, hey, I want this structure to be like, hey, name, loved seeing something about them. I'm into something about me, thought we could connect here. And what we want to say here is for something about them and something about me, only add it when it clearly makes the whole message better. And something about them, we're going to be sending that information as the user prompt, what we just did. So something about this is where you tell, I just wrote it. What are some things about you or your company that you want the AI model to know? So the AI can try to connect it to the lead's information. And again, if you did a good job in selecting an ICP or a niche that has something to do with you, this should work fine. Don't turn the icebreaker into a sales pitch because you want to control for things you really don't want to happen, right? So you don't want to make any offer or promise anything here. And finally, you give some examples here of what this output would look like. You do need to select output parser. You want to be a JSON, and as I mentioned before, it's personal and the string. Okay, for the module, we want Anthropic, and that's it for now. Okay, so I just deleted the information that we had on the spreadsheet, and now let's run and spin the results we got from AP5, so we don't run it every time. 10 leads, So let's see some of the responses. This now is an AI generated icebreaker or connection request. And as you can see, this works, but it can get better if we give some more research information about the company or about the lead. To do that, we can add perplexity step where we search information about that lead and the company online. So let's add a HTTP request, and I went to perplexity documentation. As you can see here, this is the curl. You can copy just like we did for AP5 and import here. And now you just need to add, of course, your token, just like in the AP5 HTTP request. And here is the message that you send. System message and the user message. So I'm gonna use the same system message that is here, be precise and concise. And for the role, I'm gonna change this to give me an overview of the company and lead based on, and we get here, let's say name, okay, not here, company name, organization name. Let's go with the state. Okay, so with this, we can test and see what happens. Of course, I'm just gonna add my token here and gonna have to do the same, okay? And again, I'm gonna make these prompts available in a Google Doc that you're gonna be able to access by clicking somewhere in the description of the video. Okay, let's test it. We want to rename this to Perplexity. Okay. Now, when we ask, okay, we need to change this, but here is some about the company. Here it goes. Okay. And for the name, we need to get from here. So let's go with first name and last name. So what we clearly need to do here is the JSON or everything that's before the dot, we're gonna change to this. So we just do this, it should work. Yep. Let's go with just the state in Texas. Okay, we might need to turn that into a string maybe, or not. Let's see. Let's test this. So as you can see now, the personal icebreakers, let's say more in-depth or more personalized or more specific. Now, the one thing that we need to do is always keep updating our CRM, right? And this example, again, just for the sake of the exercise, we're using Google Sheets. And what we want to do is, let's add some columns here, which is Perplexity and PhantomBuster personalization. And with that, we can update row in a sheet. So we get this URL, paste here, list, sheet 1. And what we want to do is, let's map this ID here. And with that, we can update just what we want to update. So the Perplexity output, here's the content from the Perplexity research. It's good. And the PhantomBuster personalization is this one. All right, that should do it. Good, we updated. And since we are starting with this branch here or this path, let's make this one the first one. And the reason for that is when this runs first, when this path runs first, we're gonna have the Perplexity research done for everybody, right? And right now, when the email marketing path branch starts, we can get the rows from the spreadsheet updated with the Perplexity research, and we can use that to craft our icebreakers or personalization for the emails. Okay, so let's go with get rows in a sheet. We already know. No, that's not how it works, Luis. Yep, and now you choose sheet 1. And the filters that we want here is sent email is 0, right? We just want to make sure that you're gonna have this because we don't want to repeat any process and spend unnecessary tokens. So get rows. All right. And remember, this will run after this is done. So now we can call another LLM to craft the icebreakers. And this is a more complex one, right? Because we don't have the LinkedIn limitations here. So we can be more in depth or more specific and use more characters. So let's do it. Start with the model, Anthropic. I already have credentials here. If you don't, you just need to set up. It's super intuitive. Let's save. Let's start with the prompt. Let's paste it here. And this job title, company research. We need this. All right. And for that, we need to execute this information here just so we can play with the LLM and create the prompt. Okay, my mistake here, which is a rookie one. You want this get rows to run just once, right? Because here we just parse 10 items. we don't want it to run 10 times, because if it runs 10 times and we have 10 records, the result's going to be 100 items. And that's not true. We have only 10 items there. So now if we only execute once, regardless of how many items have been passed, this is going to output 10 items. Hopefully it will. Yeah, it's already here, 10 items. I've made the same mistake here, by the way. Shame on me. Okay, so here we have all the information. Great. Now we can populate this user prompt. Company name. Let's filter name here. So we know the space. Just because sometimes the first name and last name might be populated, but the name field won't. It happens. You learn with practice. Okay, our organization name is here. Type title, so we can filter title. Marketing direct. Nice. Company research. Oh, don't love that. Perplexity. Okay, it's called perplexity. So here it goes. I don't know why that is empty, to be honest. It should not be, so let's check this. Wait, didn't we run that? Oh, that's because, yeah, that's very stupid. Because even though I created these nodes, I never executed. Right now, this is blank, but it won't be under normal circumstances. Dump. Okay, this is the JSON that we need, so structure. And this is gonna be like this. So we are going to have lots of information here. So we're gonna have like ICE1, which is breaker 1. You can call it anything, honestly. So ICE2, dump, ICE3, ICE4, and then you have FOOP1, meaning follow-up one. Oh shit, I don't know what's happening. Probably some dumb thing that I did. So no comma here, and it's called FOOP2. Okay, this is the most complex prompt and the one that you should invest most time in crafting. I'm gonna make this my prompt here available. You're gonna see it, and also I'm gonna make it available on the Google Doc that I'm going to share. That said, now one quick reflection, even though you didn't ask for it. We are in a point where AI is so good, so great, that if we don't take care of it, we're gonna get super lazy. So the AI is so advanced right now that we don't even want to spend time once crafting great prompt with examples and etc. And believe me, that makes a huge difference in whatever it is that you are building with AI. So don't be lazy, work hard. Okay, all right, to the prompt. Add prompt, system prompt, and then we want it to be an expression, of course. And here's the full information. So as you can see, we are asking him to craft icebreaker 1, icebreaker 2, 3, 4, follow-up 1, etc. Oh, okay, I didn't. This is something that I need to change. See, because I'm asking him to create ice1, and here on the output parser, I did this. So let's change here. Okay. And now with the prompt that again, I'm gonna make it available for you, this should work. The one thing that I want to say is it's very important for, see, I give examples here, but why this is happening? Okay. When I copy and paste, it didn't go so well formatted. Anyways, I'm gonna review it, but it's important for you to give these important rules here. That's where you build some constraints and you make sure that it's not going to say some crazy. Okay, I think that should do it. So for now, what we're going to do, let's save. Let's delete every record that we have here on, oh no, let's delete every record that we have here. And now let's test the entire workflow. Okay, so you see, it executed the LinkedIn path branch first, and then the email one. So let's see how it go. Okay. Oh yes, it worked. So here's the perplexity. How can I reduce this? Let's reduce this. Okay. So as you can see, the perplexity field with the research has been updated, and also the PhantomBuster personal icebreaker or connection request. So it worked for these 5 examples. Now, what we want to do is, you can see that this worked as well. And yeah, so ICE1, 2, 3, or 4, this all belongs in this very same first email. I just divided it into 4 pieces. You're gonna see why when we go to the Instantly website. And this is follow-up 1, this is follow-up 2. So what we want to do now is, for instance, duplicate this and update again the CRM, in this case the Google Sheet, with this information. So here's the ID, and what we want to update is actually the that goes into the email. And so this we don't want to update, this we don't want to update. This we could create like a column for each one of those. And actually, let's do this. Let's not be lazy. So ICE1, ICE2, ICE3, ICE4, FOOP1, FOOP2. Okay. Now, if we go back here, we update this, There we go. So what's going on? That is wrong. So we don't need this. Ice 1, Ice 2, Ice 3, Ice 4, Foop 1, Foop 2. There we have it. Okay, so now we should rename this to Perplexity and PhantomBuster, and this is update instantly. Nice, beautiful. Now, before we get to the very end of our solution, two things that I want to say here. From here onwards, same for here, we're just gonna create a mechanism to update or to send that data instantly in PhantomBuster. Before that, I didn't add a loop here because we're only testing 5 items per time. But ideally, you would add a loop like this, okay? And you would limit the batch size to, I want to say 40. That's what I did in my solution. And what you do is you delete this, and you delete this. So you loop here, and whatever it is that's going to be the very final node, that's the one you link back here, okay? Beautiful. Here, the same thing. I'm just not going to do it now because we are testing a few items. So, but bear in mind that you should do it in your own solution, just like I did here. See here. You can see that in my production solution, I have a lot of tests. So I check for duplicates. I check to see that if the email has been verified or not, and etc. Actually, to be honest, testing if the email has been verified, it's so important. That's not a fancy thing to do that I'm actually going to do it here. Otherwise, you don't want your email to be sending cold emails to not validated addresses, email addresses. It's not good for your email or domain health. So let's do it on the email branch when we get to that. So now for us to actually finalize this is 2 more steps. One is a HTTP request that we're going to do to PhantomBuster to send all that data there. And another one is, guess what? We're going to update the CRM again. Actually, 2 things we're going to do here. This HTTP request, we're going to do something like this. So if there's an error, it's going to, the success one is how we end the loop, how we would end the loop. There's no loop here. And the error one is updating the CRM with an error. What do I mean by that? So if they step below here that we already have to update all of this information, we're going to also update the send to PhantomBuster one. So we update with a 1. And that is because if we fail to update or to send that data to PhantomBuster, this will account for it, this error of this HTTP request. I actually forgot to do the filter here, just like here. But anyway, let's focus now on the LinkedIn path. Okay, that makes sense. Let's save. Nice. And for the PhantomBuster request, here's what we're going to do. In PhantomBuster, there's a free trial for 14 days for you to try. I'm already on my paid plan. Also, I keep changing the mic. Did you notice? If you did, you have something that I don't. All right. So here on PhantomBuster, you're probably going to land in this page here, solutions. And that's where they have all their phantoms. I'm using this one, connect and send follow-ups messages. That's what we're going to use. Okay. And to set this up, here's what we're going to do. Profiles to invite. That's where you connect Google Sheet URL. That's why we're using Google Sheet, to be honest, in the first place. So you copy this and on PhantomBuster, you click here and name of column containing profile URLs. And you choose here LinkedIn URL. Then you connect your LinkedIn here. Mine is already connected. If you're not following me there yet, please do. And here we want to customize, and the name of is this one. I just changed the name of the column. So I changed it to this one, 01 PB personal. That's the name of the column we want with the personalization. And with that, my battery is going to run out. I'm going to have to give a break. Okay, that's where you set up follow-ups. So I like to do 0 days after the connection request is accepted. So you can craft a personalized follow-up as well, but you can do also just like this. Great to connect. First name. What is first name here? First name. Got it. And you can do a second one, which is after 1 day. You can do something like hi first name. My name is Papa and I help. This doesn't have to be or doesn't need to be personalized. You can keep it the same. I have this, and here let's say you can craft like either some offer that you have or some free products that you have, and you can send this here or ask, can I have this? Can I share it with you? Whatever it is that you want to do. You can do more follow-ups. You see, I just stop at 2. But you can do more here. There you go. Save. And I would suggest you start with 5 requests per day, and then you go increasing it up until 20. Okay, let's go for this example 20. And of course you need to switch this, and I'm not gonna do it right now because I don't want to send those invites. I already have another campaign going on. But what we need here is this ID. This is very important for our HTTP requests that we're going to perform to send all that data back to this Phantom. So this Phantom is constantly being updated because he's reading this file here. All right. So how do we send this data HTTP request? That's what we're going to see right now. First of all, you can go here to API keys. That's where you create your API key. And again, you don't need to know how to code to perform a HTTP request. We're going to do the same thing that we did for both API and Perplexity, which is find the curl. And that's here in this address we need to launch. The HTTP request that we need to perform is an agent launch. Why? Because the agent will be active. I just did that with you, and you need to, whenever you upload context to that Google Sheet, you want to tell this agent, hey, I just did it. I just uploaded context to that Google Sheet. And that's how we do it with agent launch. So I'm gonna copy this curl here, I'm gonna paste it here, just like I did before. Nice. So again, you're gonna have to, it's one thing that here, which is actually, before you do this, you need to paste your PhantomBuster key here. So I'm just gonna put whatever. Now you copy, by the way, which key is that? Is the one that you generated here. So now I copy and now I paste it. So of course, this is not a real key. This is the one that we just came up with, but that's where your key would go. And for the body, you want to send the ID of the PhantomBuster, of the Phantom or the agent, right? So you want to go to the agent you just created, and this is the ID. So you copy this and you put it here, okay? And PhantomBuster update. So in order for us to test it, I'm actually gonna activate this. Nice. And let's say in the setup, what I'm going to do is send one per day, just because this is just for this YouTube class video. I've explained that before. And yeah, let's work this one. Okay, yeah, that's enough. Okay, so with that, this is done. We can save it. Beautiful. So now let's add a filter here, very similar to this one. Duplicate. Remember I told you we forgot to do it, or I forgot to do it. It's my fault. So this filter, what it's going to do is, we don't want to check if it was sent to PhantomBuster here, but we want to check if it was sent to instantly. So this is what we want to check. Okay, it can't be one. Good, 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 good. And yeah, the remaining part here, I'm just gonna delete this just because I'm gonna run this for testing right now. And oh, actually, I don't need to do this. So we can run it here. Nice. Yeah. So after we run and test this, the next step is going to be finalize this email marketing or cold email part, which is going to be done with instantly. Yeah, instantly. You know that. So let's try this. By the way, I'm recording this video on June 12th. Let me know when are you watching this. I love it when people watch my videos like a lot of time later. Okay, so everything failed. Great. We got a chance to see what happened. Oh yeah, of course. I used the wrong key here, the one that I said I wouldn't use, and I forgot to put my own. Okay, so I'm gonna do this now and we try it again. API keys. Okay, I'm gonna copy this and paste it there. Now we test it again. So yeah, you can see that was one branch succeed and 4 we got an error. And why is that? As you can see, this HTTP request we are performing does not need to be done multiple times, just one for every record. So what we need to do is we can add a limit here just to make sure that this, or instead of adding limit, I'm just gonna execute this once. So now let's try it again, just executing it once. And we should have a success. Yes, we got it. So we just send a signal to our Phantom agent, meaning, hey, we just added more leads to our spreadsheet. Add them to the queue. Lovely. Honestly, now that we did it, I'm gonna come here because I don't want to have this active. This is the one, nothing sent, and I'm gonna pause it. Okay, now, lovely, in it. Now let's focus on instantly, shall we? Okay, so before we go to instantly, actually, I thought about it, and let's just add the loop here just so you know how to do it, right? Okay, so if we add the loop, okay, let's say the bed size is 4, just for the sake of it. 5, come on. And we delete this, we delete this, and we delete this. So the loop is gonna go to here. Honestly, after here, we send it back, and that's finally when we perform the HTTP request, because it's only going to be executed once. So that's why we wanted to loop and reach date and reach date and reach late, and then we call the HTTP request to send everything to PhantomBuster once. And by the way, this value here, the ID of the PhantomBuster, it's not dynamic here, right? Static. But what you can do to make it dynamic is add it in the form. So when you submit the form, you can make sure that you submit your Phantom ID and your instantly campaign ID that we are about to see. So, okay, here is a bit different. So let's add a loop as well. Let's say it's 5 the size. We delete this. Come on, help me here. NA10. By the way, as I was recording this video, NA10 went down. I didn't because it's self-hosted. So go self-host your NA10. I have videos about it using DigitalOcean. Go back to the solution. Okay, so we're gonna loop for this. Okay. And after here, we're going to call the HTTP request, of course. And again, let's go to instantly. I just created a new account in this case. So let's go to settings. There's one thing that we actually need to do before here, which is verify the emails. But since we already started this, let's finish. There is API somewhere here, integrations, API keys. Yeah, that's where we generate an API key, call it YouTube class, and scope all, and we create one. Okay. Oh, you're gonna steal my API. Yeah, I'm gonna delete this in a second. So, okay, let's write this down somewhere. Note, sticky note. Okay, just gonna write it down here. Then we need to go to the API documentation. And what we need to do, we want to create a lead. And I think the curl might help us here, but we're gonna need something else. Let's see. Okay, so we have it here. That's where we paste our token. So let's get this over with. In here, that's where we're gonna use a JSON. Okay. And for that, I'm also gonna help you with this, but let's see if we can find it here somewhere. Can we? Let's see. Okay. Yeah, that's something that we need to send in the body. So we're gonna copy this. I'm also gonna make this available for you in the Google Doc, but you saw how to get it. So we go back here in the body, JSON, paste it. So that means if I can do it, you can do it. 100%. Okay, so I just paste it here, and for the personalization, I'm going to use the... Okay, let me just check one thing first. The campaign ID, again, just like with the PhantomBuster, you can make it dynamic, just like I said with the PhantomBuster ID, but let me show you how you get this. So you create a campaign, whatever the name is, and you're going to see this as the campaign ID. This number here, very similar to what we've done before, is going to be our campaign ID. Also, what you're going to need, and some people forget, and that's really annoying, is you're gonna go to lists, and you also need to create a list, YouTube class, and you also have this ID. So let's say they go here. Okay. All right. So actually for the custom variables, we're going to have the personalization is where we're going to place the icebreaker 1. So let's call this ice2. And then we have, okay, so ice3, ice4, ice5, ice6. No, foop2. I am really dumb. No comma. And that. Okay. Yeah. So now what we need is rename this to instantly campaign. And let's just test this. I'm gonna have to test everything here up until here. So we have how to populate this data. It is kind of slow. I think my internet's not great. We test this as well. Okay, I'm gonna test it all. You're not gonna wait for me. It doesn't have to wait for me. That's what we call editing video. And I'm gonna make my way out of here. By the way, since we are getting the row again here to account for any that wasn't accounted for in the previous execution, we don't need this filter. Or do we? No, yeah, we do. Oh, do we? So for redundancy, we should need. So what I'm going to do is change places. So get rows first and then filter. But let's finish this. Okay. Okay, so we've made it, and now we need to customize this JSON that we are sending. So the ice2 comes here, ice3 here, 4 come here, foop comes here, and the 2 come here. Right. Just so you know, the reason we are sending this break into a lot of icebreakers, even though it's just one big icebreaker that we're going to send in the first email, is because if you are to not split it into many variables and just make it one, when you send that email, there will be errors with the formatting. So it won't break lines, it won't have spaces after commas. I'm not sure why that happens instantly. So I've asked for their help, never came. And the funny thing is, when you preview it or you send tests, it works. But when you send actually the proper emails from your campaign, the formatting will be bad. So what I found out to be a good workaround is make sure you break your icebreaking or personalization email into many. So that way you can not fall into a trap. And in case anyone from Instantly is watching, they're not. Please fix this. I love Instantly, but this is not great. Okay, and the ice one comes here. All right, now let's go for the email. Last name here. Okay, is that? Yep, first name here. And company name, organization name is here. Okay. So with that, we can test this. Let's see. Running everything again. So I'm just gonna put my broken Apple Watch case. I didn't want you to notice that I was wearing something broke, but anyway, I am. Please don't think less of me. And it's executing, it's about to end. Come on, let's go. Please like and subscribe for the channel. Of the blue, just because the HTTP request is taking a minute to execute. Come on. See, it worked. Yeah, it didn't say it ended yet, but it did. Yeah, okay. So now it ended. Well, actually, something that we want to do is continue using error output, retry and fail. Let's see, and we want to do okay, but it worked, and this is how we built the email. So let's say insert variables, and you want to go with personalization because that's the ICE one, and then you want to go with ICE 2, and then you want to go with ICE 3, ICE 4, ICE no, yeah, that's it. And you might add a signature, I didn't, but you can go with Bess Louise. You can also make it dynamic, but just for the sake of this example, let's go with, and let's say rocks. And I want to add let's go with just can help company name. Okay, and then we can preview it. Alex Daystyle can help Underwood Law Firm. Christy, if you're watching this, I can help you guys. Okay, so and this is an amazing formatting, and I'm happy with that. How did you like it? And then you can add second step here, which is, let's say after 3 days, whatever. You can go with FOOP1. Oh, there's one thing that you should do here, which is you always want to add something like PS. If you don't want us to follow on this, just reply with stop. And you can make it dynamic by doing this. Oh yeah, this free plan can do it, so never mind. Because now the best thing for you, if someone is going to unsubscribe, you don't want them to click like unsubscribe but to report you as a spam. You want them to do it by replying stop, because that won't fuck your score so much. And that doesn't have to be dynamic, it can be static. So here, FOOP1, and you would add like the same message if you don't want, see. And then you also can do the step, which is, let's say 3 days later or 4 days later, and go with FOOP2. And yeah, you can add more things here. That's how you turn that. You want to save that, okay? And you want to select the email that you're going to send it from, and you can have your own schedule to send that, and the analytics will show here. The email you need to add here, I'm not going to show you right now, but you should use, I'm using this, but if you don't, you can use this or this. Just make sure you add your email. Instantly is pretty intuitive. I like them, even though I criticize that formatting issue. I mean, as real as it gets, I guess. And I think we're about to finish, aren't we? So what I need to do here is add this duplicate. What is it? Okay, here. For whenever there is an error. So when that happens, we want to go back here, and that succeeds. We also want to go back here for the loop. Because unlike PhantomBuster, that doesn't rely on each lead's information to be performed, we don't want this one to be executed just once. We want it to execute for each lead. And this is when it doesn't succeed, what we want to do is we want to delete. And okay, so this one actually, am I confusing you? Maybe, right? So this I'm going to delete. And here I need to add the send to email, and that should be a 1. And if it fails to send to instantly, I need to make sure that send email is 0. Okay. And let's just make sure that, for instance, this is using the correct. See, I think I changed the name of this. So yeah, see, but now I lost. Oh my God, can I go back? No. That's the name of the JSON submit person output JSON dot output person. Is that it? Or that's it? I don't know. Okay, so maybe we should try this. And if this doesn't work, that means it's because it's JSON output. Yeah. Okay, so I think JSON output. Okay, let's go with this. And there's something else that I need to change. Oh, okay, so here I'm going to do with sent email equals this or sent email equals 0. Because if we do that, we don't need the filter anymore. One of this, do I need to do something? No, okay. Remember, we are just using get row again here because we want to get the perplexity research that we did before and we stored in our Google Sheet, since this branch is executed after this one. And the reason we do that is because we don't want to spend more money on token to make the same research again for us to use here. Okay, sounds good to me. Let's save it, and I'm going to delete everything that is here. Don't hate me, don't hate me. And let's run this again. So I'm going to do 7 items. Okay, and 7 items. Let's see. Will our solution work? See, 7 items came here and we are looping 5 each time. So 5 and then it's gonna be 2. Did it work? Yeah, the syntax was right. Good, I'm happy. Okay, so it's finishing and then it should go this way. Yeah, to call PhantomBuster just once. Oh, we have an error. But now it's executing everything down here. In the meantime, let's see why did we have an error. Oh yeah, we only got an error here because I stopped the PhantomBuster after I thought that I wouldn't run that again. Remember that I stopped this? That's the only reason. So I'm gonna assume that you know that it's working because it worked before. I'm not gonna do that again. Sorry. So here the same thing, 5 items, it got 7. That's something that we need to account for. Interesting. Because you see, we loop through 5 items and then it returns 7 because we use these get rows. So that means we're going to do a lot of things duplicated here and we don't want that. So I'm just gonna let it go and then we're gonna fix it with a simple, how can I do this? So yeah, it worked, no error, but there's this issue that I just mentioned. So how do we attack that issue? It's a good question, isn't it? So what we can do to solve this is change the order. So let's do this now. And then I'm gonna have to test it again. That's a good thing because then we test the PhantomBuster again. So this is this and this is this. Okay, and we're gonna loop here. Oh, okay, yep. That I think should work. So since we're going to do that again, I'm gonna delete those records again, just so we new information. And I'm gonna do the last 7 items. Let's do it for 9 this time, just so we get different items. And the PhantomBuster, I'm going to activate it because I want this to work. So let's save and let's run the final test. Looks like we made it. Look how far we made it. 9, yeah, 5 first time, then it's gonna be 4, and then it's gonna go through here, which should work this time. Okay, it's about to finish the 9th or the 8th, now the 9th, yeah. Yeah, it worked. Successful. 1 item here. Good. Yeah, and here now it works. So 9 items, 5, and then you can come back and perform 4 more. When you build it, you can do it 40. All right. So happy it worked. So what I'm gonna do is make everything here available in a Google Doc or some kind of documents that I'm gonna, of course, ask your email for it, because nothing comes free. I guess there's no free lunch. I'm celebrating before it finishes. So is that bad luck? Come on, it's gonna work. You know, we have 9 items here, 10 rows, and he should have more leads, not 5, 10. Okay, probably more are gonna come. Oh, I forgot something very important, which is the email verifier. That is bad. That is very bad. Dumb. Okay, so let's go. Shut up. This is how we do it. Okay, so we're gonna have to add this step here. I just copied from my solution, the one I showed in the beginning, which is the same of this one, or pretty much the same, maybe a little bit more, with more details, to be honest. So what we want to do is, this should come here, and success here, or, okay, so, one step by step. So, this is the post request that we need to do, and for the body, you want to put email, and then here, email, because you want to verify it. And when you do verify it, you want to update the Google Sheet. No, let's get it, and success. Okay, what we want to do is, no, that's not what we want to update at all, is the mail status. And want that to be, let's say, success. Why? Because it comes from API with a verified, and we don't trust API and Apollo for that. So we don't want to assume verified is good. So we want to assume success is good. Okay, JSON dot ID is going to be enough, and then we go for that for this. If there's an error, we are going to let's duplicate this and call this, and we're going to say this, call this bad because there's an error, and actually that's not right because we want to thread if here to say because it can be successful and the email not being verified, and we want to account for that. Okay, stay with me now because we are almost there and this is looking legit, isn't it? So after the email verifier, what we want to do is check for the status to make sure that it succeeded, meaning it was possible to check the verification. The verification was successful. That doesn't mean that the email is verified. So what we do now is we add another step, switch, and this switch is now going to check if the email is verified. So it's two steps in one here. Let me just copy the rule I had on my own solution, which is this syntax here is equal to verified. So is equal to verified. So that you can find on the documentation for the recently API, right? So let's call it valid. And in our case, and we need to add a fallback, meaning, yep, fallback here, external output, yep. So that means that those guys have been validated, and then we can update the CRM, meaning in this case, our Google Sheet, with success. And the workflow continues. Whereas here, we're gonna try that again, because that means the verification was not successful. Actually, we don't need this. So we can, wait, we don't need that because we already have this if here. So this go here to try again. And this is an output saying that verification not only failed, but it was actually bad. So the email is not verified. It's not a good email for us to send. Okay. And now we can add another rule here for us to only start the workflow, this part of the workflow for email status that, no, actually we don't need that. So, okay. And then we update as bad. We go back to the loop again. This one. So this one, I don't need to do anything. And this one, we actually meaning bad, go back to continue the looping. Okay. And okay. Now we just need to add filter here. This filter is gonna make sure that don't get anything with the status is not equal to bad, because the bad one, as we have established, is the one that have been successfully verified, and the verification is it's a bad email. Don't send email to that. In our case, okay, that's good for us to. All right, that looks a little bit more complicated now, doesn't it? It makes me look smarter, does it? If you're still watching, let me know that you were watching till the time that my cap was gone. Okay, I think we can try it again, shall we? Let's try for, let's say, 20 items or 20 items. And let's just delete it here, just for us to get only new rows. And let's see. Remember that I have updated the Phantom on PhantomBuster. So this part here should work. Okay, I guess we're ready to try it again. Let's see. Okay, let's see if everything here is going to work. So we have now 30 or 29 records added. So that's why 29 here. And as you can see, this means that 2 records don't have emails available in the email column. So let's review it while it's running. This solution is gathering the exactly ICP you want to target for your business. In this case, we use, the location was United States, 50 to 500 employees, law firms. We are targeting the management level of founder, head, partner, director, from 1 million to 10 million or to 100 million annual revenue. And that's it. Then AI transformed that into a valid Apollo URL that we use API to scrape. From that, we will go to update this here and then divide this workflow into 2 branches. Oh, by the way, just executed successfully. Woohoo! That means we made it. How far? We made it. Okay, go back. And the first one is the LinkedIn one. And we are only passing for the LinkedIn branch, the ones, the leads that have LinkedIn URLs available in the LinkedIn column. Okay. And then we perform research with Perplexity to get more information about that lead. We use that information to craft a icebreaker, a quick icebreaker, personalization that we're going to use to send connection requests on PhantomBuster or using PhantomBuster on LinkedIn on autopilot. And that's, we can see it here, I guess. Yes, so 20 profiles collected. I'm gonna turn it off now because it was just for the sake of the YouTube class. I like to say YouTube class because that makes me look or sound smart. All right, and then we find, after we do this for every record in the loop, we finally update the Buster saying, hey, we have new records in the Google Sheet. Pay attention to that. That's this branch. This branch is, of course, updating the CRM at all time, but also checking to make sure that we only get validated emails. And with that, we proceed to enrich that, not enrich, but craft the first email, the second email, meaning the first follow-up, and a second follow-up as well. And with all that, we update our campaign here that we created, and now we have about 10 leads that have emails validated and are within our ICP range. Well, actually 16. So I celebrated too early. As you can see, the workflow stopped here, and that's because I didn't map this correctly. So let's see why. This is the ID that we want. And with that, we could, let's do this, yeah. And with that, we can continue the workflow. So now we're gonna test it again and see what happens. It sends 15 records here for the LinkedIn branch, and it's gonna loop 8 by 8. Just added this aggregate here just to make sure that this sub branch here runs. And let's see if it's gonna run. It's gonna work. Almost there. Yeah, that worked. And it did send to PhantomBuster successfully. Nice. Now the email branch. Out of those items, we are filtering, make sure that has not been sent to instantly yet. And also if the email is validated. I can see that one has already failed. Failed in the mean that it's meant to be, like we don't want to send any emails to failed email addresses. Everything seems to be working just fine. Spreadsheets here is instantly is here, and the PhantomBuster is here. So I actually have sent one invite. Who knows who that might be? 20 profiles, 25 emails. Let's see if it's finished. Running for the second time. Nice, everything working, beautiful. Loved it, loved it. In the meantime, let me show you the tools prices. What are we talking about in terms of prices here? So you're probably gonna need the PhantomBuster and the instantly in a paid plan eventually. You do have free trials though, so if you wanna try it and get the most out of it in the free trial, just to make sure if it's worth it for you, go ahead, you're not gonna spend any money. Apify, you do have a free alternative, but I guess it limits you in 100 leads instead of 1,000 per run. So if not, it's $39. N8N, you do have a free alternative, almost free. If you self-host it, it's gonna be like $6 or $7 per month. I do have a video about self-hosting on DigitalOcean, so you can check that out. If not, if you go with N8N hosting, it's gonna cost you $24 a month. The AI models is per pay per use, so it's hard to predict how much it's gonna cost. I just put here $5. In the Airtable, you definitely have a free alternative. We just did with Google Sheets, but I'm using mine for myself. It's $20 a month. So it's a cost of maximum $200 a month. But if you go with the free alternative, or let's say almost free, it can go down to $124 a month. I think that's cheap as hell. That's not me advertising for any of those companies. I get nothing from them, of course, apart from the great software. So yeah, we finished with no errors. How many? Yeah, 10 items have been sent to instantly. 3 emails were not verified. Beautiful. So I'm gonna leave you with that. Appreciate you for if you made it so far in this long video. I appreciate you more than you know. Leave a comment, please, if that was helpful. And I'm gonna also drop a Google Doc or something, a document with all the. I think as I mentioned, what did I promise? I think it was the prompts, right? Yeah, I think it was the prompts. Well, we'll see. Maybe I add something more. I don't know. Let me know what you want. Bye bye. Thank you for watching.